Google shuts failed social network Google Plus.
I mean,
I
I
honestly didn't even remember that it still existed.
Remember remember when YouTube did the mandatory, like, you have to be integrated with Google Plus, and it was just awful beyond all reason.
I mean, it still kind of was until very recently a part of the platform. You still had to have a Google Plus account in order to have full functionality on your account.
But it is now gone.
Thank goodness.
Launched in 2011 and competing with Facebook and Twitter. Competing is a very generous word.
Yeah.
It was Google's fourth attempt at a social network.
Oh, remember Buzz?
Yeah, maybe it just ain't for you, man.
Google Plus. Can I tell you that, like, I don't even really like social networking sites.
It was inscrutable, dude.
Dude, Google Plus was a nightmare.
I had no idea what was going on.
Insane fucking ramblings. I was auto-following people. There was shit in my feed that wasn't even in the language that I was supposed to be speaking. I don't even know, dude. Google Plus was just an unworkable techno nightmare.
Dude, it was like, it looked at a glance like it should have been simple, but then to do anything was like an impossible chore.
It had some pieces of it that were useful, like the Google Hangouts thing was part of Google Plus.
Yeah.
So people were able to dig through Google's weird labyrinth of unusable features and find a couple of things that they were able to use for content on their channel. But as a social networking site where you're supposed to be sharing pictures and making friends and talking about your vacations and showing off and taking political takes and shit, it was an utter failure. I could never even figure out how to properly follow a person.
I know. It was terrible.
I tried to use it for one day and I was
and the weirdest thing was they forced it on us too. Like, you gotta have it.
Yeah.
Like, no, we don't. I'm just so glad that it fucking crashed and burned.
Apple
It's amazing that it took this long for it to finally officially die, but...
Well, Google has so much money, and they're so successful in some other spaces. But, dude, Apple has tried this. Like, so many other companies have tried. Like, dude, the social networking thing, it seems like the early players, I mean, it being Facebook, being Twitter, I mean, that seems to be the only things that people, besides YouTube, that I've seen people care about.
Let me ask you this. What is it with Google and just churning out barely usable garbage?
Because they don't understand people. Google is an algorithm about how to get ads in front of as many eyes as possible.
Yes.
By marketing itself as a giant repository for all of the world's information. That's what Google is.
Yeah, it indexes the world's information, yeah.
The people that think about Google and make things at Google think from that perspective. And it's a machine mind way of thinking. It's like that's why Google Plus was an unreadable fucking mess. It's why it made no sense to anybody. It's why not a single person used it. Because it wasn't made for us. It was something like that a machine tried to make for us, but it doesn't understand empathy. It doesn't understand the human desire to see interesting things. It doesn't understand the human need for simplicity and ease of use because it's a machine. So it just puts this giant bunch of unusable tools in front of you. You know, it was horrible. It was horrible. Google can't do social media. It can't.
Well,
its ownership of YouTube has been nothing but an albatross around the users and content creators of YouTube since they bought this fucking company.
Yeah, like, I don't
YouTube was 10 times better when it was
better.
its own fucking thing, when it was its own company. And when Google absorbed it into the big fucking algorithm amoeba, it's gotten more and more unusable to the point where they're actually telling us to disable the comment section of this video. Because if you say something objectionable, we get fucked out of money for it. That's what Google has become.
Well, the thing that Google brought initially, though, and what excited a lot of people was when the partner program, one, was more exclusive, so you actually had to apply. But they actually were really good about connecting advertisers with basically people who are making these interesting videos, like the talented people, so that you had that or kind of like natural like relationship, and that was really good for a lot of people. And like look at TJ's channel, like, that's what enabled TJ to actually do YouTube, was that he was making money off it. It was actually a real thing. It wasn't just like, hey, because back in the day when she started doing this, it was just like a hobby. He knew doing this. There's never a conceptualization in his mind of like, oh, I'm going to make a bunch of money doing this. And Google, something like Google's initial ownership, I would argue, had some really positive benefits, but then since then has just eroded and gotten steadily worse. So I totally agree with you. There's maybe a year or two where it was positive.
I mean, here's the problem. It's like, yeah, okay, they brought that advertising shit, but they brought it to a platform someone else had made that was good.
Yeah.
And then they've totally fucked themselves out of everything that was good about that platform to the point where now it's just used for like.
But there's a
its
huge
legacy.
issue. But you have to. I think you have to acknowledge the huge issue with the video space and the copyright space is that the laws are too archaic. So the laws need to be changed, and two,
Oh, God, yeah.
with fair use and all that stuff. Like Viacom was suing Google, who had bought them. So if YouTube had been an independent company, they probably
shut it down.
they would have got out of business.
Well, let me tell you
Shut it
something,
down.
Scotty. It doesn't get better. It gets worse.
Yay.
Brunei enacts Islamic laws to punish gay sex with stoning to death. Here's what you need to know. I think the headline pretty much tells me what I
Don't
need
go
to
to
know.
Brunei.
I mean, Jesus, man. Isn't this like some weird little sultanate that's tiny and like...
It is. It's
Yep.
a tiny. Dude,
So,
can you
like,
pull a
what is
picture
this-
on the map of Brunei? So
Doesn't this dude
people can
party with
see.
like rappers and industry people? Like, isn't getting invited to the Sultan of Brunei's palace one of the things that happens to like...
Rules for thee, not for me.
Yeah, tiny island nation of Brunei introduced severe penalties for gay sex and adultery, stoning to death and whipping, despite global condemnation. Yeah, I'll show you.
I mean, when you see this place, it's
It's a tiny little. It's
It's
tiny.
tiny. It's
There you
it's
go.
insignificantly tiny.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
We'll
tiny
back
little
out
place.
so you can get a better.
Yeah.
Most of it
idea.
looks like it's the Lobby Forest Reserve.
Right. So
So most of it is a giant forest reserve, and it's best known for the opulence of its sultan, who spends most of the fucking money
tiny little place.
oh, he owns a bunch
on
of
himself.
like he owned the Beverly Hills Hotel.
mean, look at it. That whole Bandar Sir Bhagwani city, that's basically his compound. That's his fucking city. It's him and his people that live there.
Made up of two small slivers of land on the island of Borneo, the oil-rich country of about 400,000 people is ruled by the extravagantly wealthy Sultan Hassanal Bolkiah, who also acts as prime
Hey,
minister.
how
The
convenient.
Muslim-majority nation became the first East Asian country to adopt strict Sharia law in 2014, but in the face of widespread outrage, backed down on the implementation of the most severe punishments. But the former British protectorate has been rolling out the new penal code in stages since then, taking campaigners by surprise with the quiet introduction of the final phase that will make Brunei's the harshest Sharia law in the region.
Man,
Man, who needs ISIS when you have
I-
places like this?
I'm
dude?
not super familiar with the Quran, but doesn't it have something to say about the rich man and hoarding of wealth and shit?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I haven't read it, so.
I haven't either. I've read parts of it.
Yeah, I've read a little bit. I've read more of the Bible. I know the Bible doesn't like rich people,
Yeah.
but that doesn't seem to stop.
Oh
our
no, dude! Plant the
preachers
seed.
and shit.
Plant the seed, TJ.
You gotta
I
plant
don't
the seed.
Whatever.
It'll
Just don't
take
go to
root.
Brunei. It's not hard.
And then
Well, it sucks
It's
if you
a tiny place.
if you live there,
You
but
couldn't
yeah.
accidentally land there if you tried. Just don't go.
don't go.